Looking down at the body, I could hardly comprehend why it all happened. I guess some people are just greedy or dumb as hell. Not long ago, I was an extremely happy man with no problems, running a company that made good money. Actually, it made great money thanks to government contracts. I had a wife who loved me and kids who were happy and healthy. I guess I had it all. That would explain why some idiot tried to take it all away from me. That idiot was Hal Johnson. It was his body I was looking at on the floor with a puddle of blood underneath it. Digging deep, I mustered up all the bile I could and spat on the lousy carcass. May he enjoy hell because, if anyone deserves to be there, it's him. I've been a businessman for most of my adult life, dealing with the good and the bad that comes with it. There will always be people you can forge lifelong relationships with and those who are just out to take advantage of you. Hal Johnson was one of the latter. My life and business model were simple. Help those who need it, and in turn, you may receive help when you need it. I had help from my in-laws and a few small businesses in town when I wanted to start my little computer shop. Nothing big, just a niche business buying and selling some highly classified computer components. Of course, I didn't start out dealing with that kind of stuff. In the beginning, all I did was fix broken computers, write a little code, and design specialty components for specific business uses. I started out alone, and as I took on more clients, I hired a few people. I signed a few contracts with a couple of colleges and small businesses, the same small businesses that helped me start up. You can bet your bottom dollar I gave them a discount. The local college signed on because I was an alumnus, and I hired kids from the school's computer science program. I can't tell you what components I dealt with because, if I did, I'd have to kill you. Just kidding, I've always wanted to say that. But seriously, I'd have to kill you, so don't ask. During the early years of my business, I met and fell in love with a gorgeous brown-haired beauty named Julie. I don't think it was love at first sight for her, but for me, I was hooked from the word go. Eventually, I won her heart and we got married. In the first years, we struggled to make a living, but she did a great job making ends meet. I made her CFO of the business because she had a knack for money. The other day, I was approached during lunch at a local diner. He didn't ask. He just sat down across from me and started talking like he knew me. Now, I don't get shaken up easily, so I let him do his thing. He talked about how he could help me make loads of money and keep it out of the government's hands. After a few minutes of him talking, he started to sound more like an adult from a Charlie Brown cartoon. I didn't miss a bite. I really liked the diner's open-faced roast beef sandwich with gravy, gluten-free, of course. After he finished his spiel, I sipped my coffee and looked at him. Oh boy, did he deflate. I wanted to play a game with the new a-hole in my life. I don't do business with people I don't know. Introductions are a must. You obviously know me. So who the hell are you? My name is Hal Johnson and... I interrupted him. Well, then you know who I am. But you obviously haven't done your homework before you rudely interrupted my lunch. So let me tell you how I do business. 1. Never ever bother me during lunch. 2. My business only does legitimate dealings with established companies vetted by my people. 3. I have too much to lose, so nothing illegal is ever done by me or my people. 4. The answer is no, just because I don't like you. He moved past deflated and went straight to ticked off. You don't understand. We can get filthy rich from this deal I'm proposing. I'm rich enough. Now leave before you see the wrong side of me. Sliding out of the booth, he said, Trust me when I say I can't let this go. We will meet again. I sighed, feeling a pang of frustration. Hal Johnson's insistence made it hard to enjoy my apple pie. Given my connections, I decided to dig a little deeper. I asked Harold Watson, known as Monster, a towering genius with a soft spot for kids, to run a background check on Johnson. Keep it low-key for now, I instructed. Don't access the government database until I give you the green light. Got it, Monster replied. I'll get on it and call you once it's done. You're not expecting trouble, are you? I hope not. But there's something about this guy that doesn't sit right with me. Monster's expression grew serious. He knew I had a knack for sensing trouble. I'll get started right away. After ending the call, I decided to head home early. My wife had taken the day off to be with the kids, so I surprised her by getting home ahead of schedule. I found her in the kitchen, finishing up dinner. I slipped up behind her, giving her a gentle hug. "Hey there," I said softly. She smiled but playfully warned, "Don't even think about it." I laughed and pulled her close. "Your spider sense must be dulled by age. Or is it that you've just got a soft spot for your husband?" "More likely age," she teased. "But I'm definitely up for some quality time tonight. Just don't make me regret it." "All right, no special measures today. But just so you know, I might be a bit more enthusiastic than usual." She chuckled. "Let's save the enthusiasm for later. The kids will be home soon, and I still need to finish dinner." With that, I raced up the stairs, peeling off my clothes as I went. By the time we reached the bedroom, she was down to her underwear, and I was still in my clothes. Seeing me struggle, she grinned. "Since you're taking your time," she said with a playful glance, "I'll get things started." She teasingly began to undress, and I couldn't help but be captivated. But her challenge snapped me into action, and I quickly joined her. We enjoyed a passionate moment, both of us completely absorbed in each other. "I love you," I said, catching my breath. "Your happiness means everything to me." "I love you too," she replied. "Now, let's get back to finishing dinner before the kids come home." The kids got home from their school activities, and we had a nice sit-down dinner. With our kids growing up and our business always demanding our time, we seldom have time for this, but when we do, it's always a great time. We cleaned up after dinner and went to bed. One of the best things in life is going to bed with the woman of your dreams and waking up with her in the morning. Even though we own the company, we don't always have the same schedule. I usually have meetings outside the office, while my wife keeps things together in the office. But today we went to work together. As soon as we walked in the door, Monster was there to greet us. "Boss, we need to talk. Now." He didn't look happy, and I had a feeling it was about yesterday. Julie asked what was going on, so I explained yesterday's lunch and what Mr. Hal Johnson had said to me. "I knew Hal Johnson in college, but I doubt it's the same man," she said. But as she spoke, she had an unsettled look on her face, and the tone in her voice disturbed me. I gave her a look. "What?" she replied. Now, looking at Monster, I said, "Tell me what you found out after we get into my office." We entered the office and closed the door. "Okay, what's got you on edge?" I asked. "Boss, from what I can find about this guy, he has some connections to organized crime, and it seems he owes these guys some money. And judging by Julie's reaction to his name, I have a feeling you were targeted because of her." "My wife." "Now, Monster, you have no proof that's the reason he approached my husband with that so-called deal. The Hal Johnson I knew was a nice guy who wouldn't have gotten caught up with gangsters. Julie, I checked him out. He is the same guy you dated in college. How many Hal Johnsons went to the same college at the same time as you? And he is involved with organized crime." "Sorry, boss, but I got into the Fed's database even though you told me not to. I had to confirm things." "That's okay, Monster." I looked at my wife. "Julie, you were obviously more involved with this guy in college than I'd like, and I think you're letting some fond memories cloud the present reality. You and I will talk in a moment about your history with your man." She gave me a look, and I turned back to Monster. "I think it's time to notify the feds and tell them about our new friend." "I already did. Sorry, I called them before talking to you, but with our government contracts, I really didn't have a choice. They started their investigation as soon as I called." "That's fine. Now you understand why I count on you so much." "Thanks, boss. I'm going back to work on this guy. I really have a bad feeling about all of this." "Go do your thing and thanks." Turning my attention to my wife, I said, "Okay, spill it, honey." "There's not much to say. We dated in college. He was a nice guy, and we had fun together." "What kind of fun?" "Well, you know." She couldn't look me in the eyes. "Julie, you were my wife, and I love you more than you could possibly imagine. It was love at first sight for me, and yes, I know it wasn't so much for you. But now is not the time to hide things from me. I get it, you were involved with the guy in school. But if you still have feelings for him, you better tell me now." "Honey, the only feelings I have for him are memories from a different life." "Really? Then do you want to explain the look you had on your face after you heard his name? I could see her getting uncomfortable. Honey, what you and Hal had was nothing. Are you jealous? Hal and me? Jealous? Envious? Mad as hell? You're damn right. I hate not being your first. I love you that much. You are my life, and right now, the connection between you and this guy disturbs me greatly. Even after the information Monster gave us, it seems like you're defending your old boyfriend. Why do you still have a connection with this guy? I need to know, because if there is, you better tell me now. Now she was beginning to look upset. Honey, I haven't talked to Hal since school. We broke up back then. He was upset about it, but it was his fault because I caught him cheating on me. That's all? Really? You said he was a nice guy, but he cheated on you. Is that your definition of a nice guy now? Are you holding back on me about anything? No, honey, I'm not. Okay, it looks like this is going to get ugly and fast. Now I have the FBI snooping around because of his connection to organized crime. That means my family is in trouble, and I know I'm going to have to get dirty on this. Just when I was planning a vacation. This guy is really pissing me off. Now, looking at her like I have for so many years, I said, if anyone ever, and I mean ever, comes to do any harm to my family, or any old boyfriend tries to reconnect with my wife, I swear to you that a life-ending experience will result. You have never seen me that angry, so pray that I don't have to go there. I think I startled her a little. I understand, honey. I know how much you love your family, and there is no way I would allow or want any reconnection from any old boyfriend. I love you too much for that. Good. Now you have to go to work, and I have a company and a family to protect. Something was putting me off about my wife and her old boyfriend. I had to find out what was going on. Time to activate STOP, Silent Tactical Operations Protocol. Once a stop call went out, there was absolutely nothing that could end it until those on the tactical team said so. As far as the protocol is concerned, I am also the problem until they prove otherwise. STOP would literally invade every sense of privacy a person can enjoy to determine if they're a threat to any facet of the company, whether it be on a commercial or personal level. Commercial level means any facet of the business itself that could be damaged or trust violated. Personal level means screwing with me, my family, or my employees in any shape or form. It was a safety measure I set up long ago, and also the reason I have the government contracts I do. I'm also the only one in the company aware of this last line of defense. Not my wife, the FBI, or the federal agencies I have contracts with. Besides the people on STOP, there's only one person outside the company that knows about it, and he runs a government agency that has 3 initials and guys with computers and guns to make sure I stay honest. They work behind the scenes periodically to watch me and the company. Like I said before, I'm an honest businessman. Next, I needed to make sure my family was safe. Bodyguards were assigned, but they had orders to remain distant unless needed. With the FBI called in by Monster, I knew it was only a matter of time before they showed up at the office. I hoped they would wait and look at the organized crime angle first before Mr. Hal Johnson noticed them and skipped town. I checked in with Monster before I left for the day to see if he'd found anything new. According to him, he traced Hal Johnson back about 15 years and found out he was married to an Angela Martin, maiden name. They had 2 kids, Mike and Emma. He worked as a middle manager in some now-defunct real estate company in Peoria until his wife caught him cheating with the company receptionist and divorced him. She also sued the company, and they had to pay out big time because they didn't enforce the non-fraternization clauses in the adulterer's employment contract. Because of the size of the award and poor management, the company quickly went under. Oh yeah, guess who owned the company? The same organized crime family that Mr. Hal Johnson is now, or should I say still, associated with. Monster, I need you to send what you have to the FBI, but under no circumstances do you tell my wife or anyone else in this company what you have. Understand? Sure, boss. But why keep it from your wife? I need to ensure her safety, so no information about her former boyfriend goes to her. I understand. With that, I went by my wife's office to take her home. As I approached, she was on the phone, talking about what I assumed was company business. But as soon as she saw me, she abruptly ended the call, looking like I had just caught her with her hand in the cookie jar. Honey, I didn't see you there. Um, how long have you been standing there? What's wrong? You seem uneasy. Nothing's wrong. I just didn't expect to see anyone standing there. That's all. Well, come on then. The day's over. Let's go home. She turned off her computer and grabbed her purse, following me out of the building. Our ride home was quiet, and she looked unsettled the entire way. The kids were waiting for us as we walked in the door. What's for dinner? We're hungry. Tell you guys what, it's been a rough day, so let's do pizza tonight. Afterwards, we need to have a family meeting. There's something very important I need to talk to everyone about. Since pizza night happens seldom, I got agreement all around. As Julie and I are getting older, we've been eating healthier and picked up our exercise regimen. Besides, it's nice to eat a Mario's pizza every now and then. I put his online ordering system in place along with an Android app for mobile users at a substantial discount, I might add. Yeah, you guessed it, he helped me with my business early on. Now his son John runs the pizzeria and has expanded the business with a frozen pizza line for regional grocery stores. Needless to say, the business employs a good number of local people and is important to the community. He loves the town and still works in the original shop his dad opened 40 years ago. The pizza delivery driver turned out to be Paul, who is sweet on my daughter Bethany. Beware of guys who want to date your daughter. Of course, Bethany answered the door, and minutes passed before the pizza made it past the front door. I thought to myself, if they were kissing on the front stoop before I got my pizza, he won't get a tip. Bethany made Paul bring the pizza into the living room while I put in the newest Godzilla movie in the Blu-ray player. Hey, Dad. Paul's here with the pizza. I can see that, honey. Hello, Paul. How are you? Boy, did this kid look nervous. Hello, sir. I am fine, sir. Bethany, now nudging him in the arm, said, Sir, Mr. Golden, sir. Paul stammered, there's a movie coming out on Friday, and I'd like to ask Bethany to go along, if it's okay with you, sir. All I could do was smile along with my wife and other daughter. I wanted to make the kid sweat some more, but took pity on him. Besides, the pizza was getting cold. Sure, Paul, I think that would be fine, but you know the rules. Do nothing that could get you guys hurt or in trouble. After the movie, she gets home by 11 p.m. Okay? Yes, sir, no problem. I was going to take her to eat after the movie and bring her home right away. Sounds like a nice evening. Set the pizza down there and here you go. Keep the change. Thank you, Mr. Golden. I'll see you in school tomorrow, Bethany, he said, turning and going out the front door. After the door closed, everyone except Bethany burst out laughing. Dad, did you have to be like that? Why did you have to say anything about rules? My God, you embarrass me so much. Oh, honey, I wasn't that bad. Now let's get to eating and watch Godzilla, I said with a terrible Japanese accent, mimicking the way Godzilla is pronounced in the old movies. Godzilla is one of my wife's favorite monsters. Hell, we went to see the movie a couple of times while it was still in theaters. After the movie, it was meeting time. Since my wife knew some of what was going on, I needed to tell the girls. Girls, I have a few important things to tell you. There's something going on at work, and there's going to be some trouble. I know you don't know all that much about what we do down at the shop, but you're old enough now for a little information. But this information is not to be told to others. Understand? Our business works with the government on some very important projects. These projects are classified because of their nature. Because of this trouble, I have taken steps to protect the business, the employees, and especially us as a family. You may see things around the business when you visit me or your mom, and I don't want you to freak out when you see the FBI there. Okay? My youngest, Carla, asked, What's going on, Dad? Why would the FBI be getting involved? Not wanting to tell too much, I replied, It's just because of the government contracts we have. Our company has obligations to notify the government if I think there could be trouble. That's all. Of course, I left out the fact that they had bodyguards assigned to them. If the guards do their job right, they shouldn't be seen. Now go to bed, and I'll see you for breakfast in the morning. I cleaned up the pizza box while Julie went upstairs to shower. She was just getting ready to rinse the shampoo out of her hair when I walked in and wrapped my arms around her, causing her to let out a sigh that made me go stiff. I don't remember inviting you in here, mister. Just conserving water, my beautiful. Aren't you on the local water conservation committee? And your campaign to reduce water usage is in full swing. Well, I'm doing my part to save water like a responsible citizen and trusted business owner, as the community requires. Now, didn't I see you drop the soap? She turned around, wrapping her arms around me and gave me a kiss. Okay, I'll share. I don't want to be accused of wasting our natural resources. She got the look on her face that always makes my heart race. No, you did not see me drop the soap. Now quit messing around and get cleaned up. I'll be on the bed waiting for you, and you better be ready for some skin-to-skin friction, you understand? She gave me a playful smack as she stepped out of the shower. I scrubbed myself clean so quickly, I might have set a new world record. I made it to the bed before she even had a chance to pull back the covers, and we spent the rest of the time together, sharing love in every way imaginable. Not with the dreaded words, "Here it comes," but instead with the most used words in my vocabulary, "I love you, Julie." Sleep came quickly for Julie, but I was troubled and could only manage a few hours. I do love my wife like mad, but I remained unsure of her relationship with Mr. Hal Johnson. I would have to proceed delicately until I received information from Stop Associates. Getting out of bed early, I made breakfast for everyone: eggs, fruit, pancakes, and of course coffee. I don't care what anyone says, coffee is good for you. The girls ate and left for school, while Julie and I finished ours and cleaned up. Honey, I have a couple of meetings today, so you'll have to drive yourself to the office. I'll meet up with you later, I told Julie, kissing her goodbye. Okay, I have to finish the audit of the books anyhow, so I'll see you in a bit. Oh yeah, the yearly audit. How's that going? Anyway, anything I need to know about? Nothing you need to know, honey. Everything is okay, she said as she walked out the front door. She didn't seem terribly convincing to me. Getting in my car, I made the first call. Leighton, have the first report. As you already know, protocol requires your investigation to be conducted first. The intermittent investigations in this requested review prove no coercion or deceptive behavior on your part, and you are deemed cleared for information release. You may proceed. Stop Associates are in place and are conducting the internal reviews as we speak. All reviews of internals will be completed by noon today. External review of the FBI agents and others will be completed by this time tomorrow. Very well. Has he been alerted? Yes, sir, he has. He is expecting your call. Thank you. You can expect my follow-up call at 12:15 hours. Any other time, or if you do not hear from me, initiate DAP, Destroy External Attack Protocol. Understood. I expected the next call would be less formal. Hello, Mike. It's me. I was expecting your call. How bad is it? I'll find out after lunch, but I think it's bad. She's hiding something. You sure? Afraid so. What it is, I don't know. But I'm sure it involves her former boyfriend and is connected to that deal he pushed at lunch yesterday. Okay. How do I proceed? Keep her safe no matter what. I don't have to tell you what to do if you get a whiff of any hint of danger. No, you don't. I have to go now. I'll be stopping by the office to check in with Monster and then going to lunch. I'm expecting an unwanted lunch companion. You be careful. I will, thanks. Mike was keeping tabs on my location with the installed GPS in my vehicle, so he was waiting for me when I arrived. He brought me up to speed on the FBI surveillance of the crime family in Peoria. I guess Mr. Hal Johnson has been in contact and has pretty much been told if he fails to make the deal with me, his little deal will be in serious trouble before month's end. I guess they're still mad he cost them so much money by being irresponsible, since it was his actions that caused the court-ordered settlement to his ex-wife. He was convinced to repay the money via a little death threat. They had no issues with his ex. She did only what any wronged person would have done. I thanked Monster for keeping me updated on the investigation into Hal Johnson. Remember me telling you Monster loves kids but is shy around girls? Hey, how did things go with you and Susie? You guys went out this past weekend, right? Yes, thanks for setting me up. Why didn't you tell me she was that gorgeous? Surprise. You know how I am. I made a fool of myself for the first hour, unable to speak. I couldn't help but laugh. Buddy, We warned her ahead of time about your shyness, so she knew what to expect. And trust me, she understood. Besides, her MIT doctorate in computer science keeps you two on an even keel. What? She's a geek like me? You don't know about her degree. I figured you would have discussed your similar backgrounds when you talked. She said she was a cheerleader and went to college and got her degree, but she didn't say anything about MIT. Holy cow, she's the most beautiful girl I've ever met, and she's smart. Wow. Well, we did cut dinner a little short because she joined me for a quick stop at the hospital, at the children's ward. Little Mary was feeling down, so I wanted to stop in and cheer her up. You took a girl to the hospital for a first date? You charmer, you. Boy, did I have him blushing. Stop it, will you? When I told Susie that I volunteer at the children's ward and that Mary was down and needed cheering up, she wanted to go right then and there. How could I say no? I love those kids. I know you do. That's why you're special to us all. Did you get a second date? Yes. But with all this going on around here, I don't know when we'll get to go. Don't worry about that. She'll be working here as of tomorrow. Now, looking serious, I continued, I expect you to conduct yourself professionally during working hours because I don't need any complaints. After hours, well, you'll figure it out. I smiled as I walked down the hall. I could hear him say, "Oh." I peeked my head in to see Julie and let her know I was in the office. "How's it going, honey?" She looked up and smiled. "Hi, honey. How's your morning going?" I just got done giving Monster a ribbing about Susie. That was fun. Oh yes, I forgot about setting them up on that blind date. It went well, I take it. He's already in love and doesn't know it. I'm sure she'll tell him when she realizes she's in love with him too. Just like you and me, huh? I didn't need to be told I was in love with you. I knew the moment I laid eyes on you. Looking down, she continued, it took so long for you to show me any affection outside the end-of-date kiss. I gave up after 2 months of dating. I figured you weren't into me, so I quit calling. Remember? She looked toward the floor. I decided to concentrate on the business and try to forget about you. It took weeks of me getting lost in my work before I started to feel better. During that time, I never heard from you, so I guess I was right, you didn't care. I even considered asking one of the girls I knew from school out on a date, so I could start the process of getting over you. Then, out of the blue, you called me. You didn't say anything beyond "how have you been?" or try to find out why I hadn't called. Do you remember how distant I sounded? I was still in love with you, but I didn't want to hurt over you any longer, so I stayed quiet. Julie was now looking sadly at me. I remember, Dennis. I remember it all. But you were wrong about one very big thing. I was already in love with you. I was so in love with you. It scared me. I was so afraid back then. I'd never felt so strongly for anyone in my whole life, and I didn't know what to do, so I held back. That way, you couldn't hurt me when you dropped me, and my life would be better. When you quit calling me for dates, I figured I was right. I dated a couple of guys from before we met, trying to forget you, but I couldn't. For weeks, I was a mess. I compared all of them to you, and they weren't even close to the top of the scale. Hell, honey, you are the scale. No one can or will ever compare to you. Then I decided to call you because I was only happy when I was with you. But you wouldn't talk to me. I thought I was too late. But you called again, didn't you? I said, now smiling. You bet your heart I did. There was no way I was going to give you up without a fight. I was determined not to hold back this time and show you I really did love you. The second time I called, I asked you out. Remember? Yeah, I remember. I was so excited when you asked me out I was barely able to contain myself, but I was still scared out of my mind. I was afraid you were setting me up or playing some kind of game, you know, the kind where you bring a geek to dinner and then make fun of him. But I didn't, did I? No, you didn't. When we met at the restaurant, you jumped up and kissed me so strongly, you took all my fears away and made me feel secure. Now she was smiling big. Yeah, I know. I knew at that moment you were mine, and we were going to be forever. The rest is history. I love you now more than I ever thought possible. I couldn't live without you, and I would do anything to make sure you'll never leave me. This last part sounded more like desperation than a statement of love. Honey, is there something wrong? I asked, surprised at the question. No. A little too loud and looking away. No, nothing's wrong. That is exactly what I needed. I knew there was something very wrong, and she was involved. Come here. All I wanted at that moment was to hold her and never let her go. We held each other tight, neither one of us wanting to be the first to let go. We better get back to work. Okay, she said, kissing me gently on the lips. I love you. I love you too, honey. I walked out of her office with my worst fears rolling around in my head. She's been hiding something and might be trying to take everything away from me. Noticing the time, I thought to myself, lunch. This should be interesting. I already knew I was under surveillance, so I wasn't too worried about my safety. Johnson wouldn't get any deal if he put a bullet in my head, so I wasn't concerned. No, these types of people try to influence others in different ways. Strong-arming, kidnapping, extortion, etc. When I got to the diner around 11:30 a.m., I found it slower than usual, so I was able to take my favorite booth and order the special. They always have good food here. I was almost done enjoying my meal, thinking the trip was going to be a bust, when he walked in and sat down across from me. At first, I was disappointed he showed up, but I quickly changed my mind. A morbid sense of curiosity came over me, and I wanted to see what his next move was going to be. Not demonstrating any emotions, I just sat there looking at him. He needed to make the first move. It was his life on the line, after all. So, have you thought any more about what we discussed the other day? You know it would be good for both of us, and we can make a lot of money. Boy, did he look nervous. I have thought long and hard about your deal, and I think you and your deal are full of it. He didn't even look surprised. Come on, you're a businessman and you're in business to make money, am I right? So what's wrong with making a lot of money in one deal instead of a little money in a lot of deals? Who says I don't make a lot of money in a single deal? We've seen your books. We know how much money you've earned in the past 5 years and who you've made it from. I really think you could have done better with that General Dayton deal last year. Now, I was really interested in his next statement, especially since I know who controls the books. Who showed you my books? Who do you think? Your wife. I was just about to reach over the table and strangle his neck when I realized the time. 12:10 hours. I wasn't ready for DAP yet. So, look, all I want to do right now is squeeze my fingers around your neck until you turn blue. And with the way things work in this town, I'd probably get away with it. But frankly, I don't feel like ruining my lunch. I think it's best if you leave right now, or the next few hours for you will be very painful, immediately followed by you delivering a message to Satan up close and personal, if you get my meaning. That shook him up a little. Okay, I understand the shock of finding out your wife betrayed you in more ways than one. So I'll give you a little more time to find out you have no choice. What do you mean, my wife betrayed me in more ways than one? Now the creep was smirking. I've had her recently, he said, wiggling his eyebrows at me. His nose will heal, but it will take a team of doctors' hours to put it back in place. But if his words had any truth to them, my heart would not heal. As he stumbled out of the diner door, the others inside just looked on in disbelief. I had never even raised my voice in public, let alone punch someone. I threw a $20 bill on the table and walked out, looking at no one. Once outside, I realized my hand was torn up and bleeding. I must have hit him harder than I thought. I was surprised the pain hadn't registered yet. Inside my car, I made the call just before 12:15 hours. Report, please. Are you all right, sir? We've had a report from your surveillance of an altercation. Do you need assistance? No, please give me the report on the internals. There was a slight hesitation. Very well, sir. The internal reviews are complete as promised, and no threats have been found, except we discovered unusual activity within the accounting department. It appears an unauthorized release of detailed company financial records was sent out by email. However, as you know, the audit is not scheduled for another 3 days. The information was released 3 weeks ago and involved more than necessary for the type of audit planned. We are aware that your wife is in charge of the department. We are intensifying the internal review of her activities. The information was downloaded at an internet cafe 50 miles from here. The external reviews are ongoing and as expected, we will be ready for you tomorrow at 12 o'clock hours. Is there anything else? No. Second step stop protocol will be implemented since a principal of the company is now suspect. Understood. I will be making contact with that principal in a few minutes. If you do not hear from me by this time tomorrow, DAP is authorized. I ended the call and walked into the office, only to find my employees staring at me in shock. I had forgotten about the blood on my hand from the altercation with Hal Johnson. What's everyone staring at? Get back to work. My stern tone caught them off guard. It was unusual for me to speak so harshly. Realizing this, I softened. Sorry, everyone. Just carry on with what you were doing. One of the office staff asked if I was okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Just get back to work, please. I made my way down the hall to my wife's office, dreading the conversation ahead. If Hal's claims about him being involved with her were true, it would be devastating. Fidelity was a core value for me, and I held my marriage vows in the highest regard. As I entered her office, her eyes widened with concern when she saw me, noticing the bloodied and swollen state of my hand. "Oh my God, what happened?" she asked, rushing to my side. "Is it true?" I asked quietly. "Is what true?" she replied, looking increasingly worried. "You and your old boyfriend." "Damn it!" I shouted, my frustration echoing down the hall and drawing curious glances from other employees. "How? I don't understand. What are you talking about?" "Stop pretending, Julie. You know exactly what I mean. Either you start talking, or my next call is to a divorce attorney." "What? An attorney? For what?" "For our divorce. That's what happens when a husband finds out his wife has been unfaithful." In a moment of raw emotion, she slapped me hard. I stood there, heartbroken, as tears began to well up in my eyes. I slumped into a chair and broke down, overwhelmed by a deep, aching sadness. "I thought you loved me. Why would you do this to us? Why?" I choked out between sobs. She stood there, speechless, her face a mask of disbelief as she watched me unravel. "Why, Julie? Why wasn't I enough for you? I love you so much, and now I find out you were with him. Don't worry about him, though. He might be disfigured for a while, but if you want him that badly, I'm sure you'll overlook it." "What? Are you saying I was with him? Is that how you got hurt?" "I know about the financial records. He told me and my people confirmed it. Do you want to explain before I involve the FBI?" Julie collapsed into the chair opposite me, tears streaming down her face. "Dennis, I'm so sorry. I had to send those records. They were threatening me. I had no choice. I had to send those records. They were threatening me. I had no choice." "They were threatening you? Threatening you to be unfaithful? Explain why you'd throw away everything for him." "I didn't get involved with him, I swear. He tried, but I didn't let him. Please believe me." "Then why did he say otherwise?" "He said that to manipulate you. I never betrayed you. I'd rather have died than let him touch me." "What about the financial records? That's what started all this." Julie's tears continued to flow as she tried to explain, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "You know you weren't my first and that I was with Hal in college. I regret all of it now. God, how I wish you had been my first. Hal was selfish in so many ways. All he cared about was his own satisfaction. I was only with him a few times before I caught him cheating. What I didn't know was that he had hidden cameras in his room. He has video of us together, and he was going to send them to you if I didn't cooperate and give him what he wanted. If what you say is true, that was 20 years ago. Don't you think I could tell the difference in how you look? You gave birth to 2 girls, for heaven's sake, and you're 20 years older. Don't you think I could tell the difference? I know every inch of your body. I know how it looked then, and I sure as hell know how it looks now. Damn it, he was going to put it on the internet. You were going to get the videos after he released them. He was blackmailing me with those tapes, threatening to post them and send them to our friends and family. It would have ruined our reputation. Don't you see? Don't you think your reputation could be restored after the truth came out? I really thought you trusted me after all these years and the love we've shared. I was just about done. All I did was sit there, looking into space, falling apart inside. What do we do here in our business, Julie? We sell computers and some components and programming. Why? My God. You have no idea, do you? You keep our money and know where it comes from, but you really don't know what we actually do here. How could you not know? Dennis, honey, what are you talking about? I have the most extensive line of classified computer equipment sold to the U.S. government. We have million-dollar contracts to help the government hold its most prized secrets. With that kind of power, don't you think I could have taken care of Hal Johnson with little more than a phone call? The loudness and absolute anger in my voice brought employees out of their offices again. But you had no trust in me to tell me what was going on, did you? You had so little faith in your husband's ability to keep his family safe that you gave in to industrial espionage. Something that could put you in jail for the rest of your life and destroy this company and the lives of not only your family but our employees too. Julie sat there, silent for a couple of minutes, comprehending my last words. My God, what have I done? I'm so sorry, but I was terrified when he contacted me and said he would post those videos. At first, I refused, but he said if I didn't cooperate, he would have you or the girls hurt. I couldn't allow that to happen. I just couldn't. He proved that he could have you hurt? How did he do that? How could he prove that kind of capability? He showed me photos taken of you being followed and how easy it would be for you to have an accident. He had pictures of the girls at volleyball practice and out with their friends. He said it would be so easy you would have your accident and the girls would disappear. My girls, Dennis. I had to do it. Couldn't let my family be hurt. I couldn't, she said, starting to cry again. Well, there's no chance of that happening. You and the girls have had bodyguards assigned to you since Monster gave us the information he had on Hal Johnson. No one on this planet could hurt you or our girls unless they had a small army. I took out my phone. Mike, it's time to come in. I'll be right in. Julie had a very bewildered look on her face. Dennis, what's going on? You and the girls are taking a little trip. I don't understand. A trip? Where? Why? I can't leave you. I don't want to leave you, Dennis. Don't make me leave, please. You can't make me leave. We need to talk. You don't have a choice. About that time, Mike came in. Julie, this is Mike. He will be looking after you and the girls. You will go with him and pick up the girls from school. You will do exactly what he tells you to do when he tells you to do it. I'm not leaving you. Julie, listen. You have no idea how close you have come to destroying everything we have. Our marriage, our family, and our business will be taken from us if I don't act accordingly in the next 48 hours. I'm leaning toward believing you when you say you have not been seeing your old boyfriend, but not coming to me when he contacted you, and your release of our financial records could destroy this company and everyone with it. If you want the chance to remain my wife, you will go with Mike and do what I say. Julie looked shocked when I mentioned the possibility of not remaining my wife. I don't want to go, but I will if it means a chance to stay your wife. Mike will keep you and the girls safe. You wouldn't go with him if he didn't have my complete trust. He risked his life saving mine years back when he didn't need to, so I know he'll keep you safe. What do you mean he saved your life? I'll let him tell you, but you need to go before the FBI shows up. She timidly came up to me. I'm so sorry, honey. Please forgive me, she said as she gave me an intense hug. I pulled her close, squeezing hard to assure her she was still loved. You still have no idea how much I love you, do you? I think I'm beginning to see and understand. I love you too. With that, Mike and Julie turned and left the office building. I knew he would care for my family. He had a safe house where he would keep them. Only 3 people knew its location. Mike, of course, me, and a man in Washington, D.C. I knew of its location because I had been there for a couple of days after I was kidnapped several years ago. Julie is not the only one who can keep secrets. I was on a business trip in the capital when I was invited to spend a couple of days relaxing in the George Washington National Forest by one of the government contract negotiators whose family owns a cabin. The cabin had been in his family for over 50 years. Jack Murphy was a good guy, and I had dealt with him before. I agreed as long as he gave notice to his boss and the ethics officer of his agency. He agreed that was a prudent move and did so. I'm an honest businessman and no way would I want to lose a government contract due to impropriety. I definitely needed some rest, so I decided, what the heck? I rented a car and drove myself using the directions the negotiator gave me. George Washington National Forest is not a small piece of ground. The cabin was in a desolate location and offered quiet serenity and good deer hunting. The paved road turned to dirt, which turned to mud. Just when I was ready to make a turn, a large black SUV pulled out from the trees and blocked my path. Locking up the brakes, I stopped only feet from the SUV. I started cussing at the man behind the wheel. The next thing I knew, men with masks jumped out of the SUV and pointed guns at me. I put the car in reverse and punched it, trying to get out of there, but they shot the tires and dragged me out of the car. I put up a fight as best I could until one of them hit me in the head with the butt of their rifle. When I woke up, I was tied to a chair. Stirring, one of my kidnappers came over. I see you're awake. Good. Sorry about hitting you in the head like that, but we couldn't let you get away. Are you feeling well enough to talk? Still looking around in shock, I realized I was in a log cabin. The fireplace had a small fire burning, and I could see two other men at a table eating. I'm a little dizzy, and I could use some water. Did you have to hit me so hard? Sure, you can have some water. Sorry about hitting you so hard, but you fought us more than we anticipated. And my man got a little excited, shall we say. The man talking to me wasn't overly large, but he had a muscular build. The other two looked average in size and had pistols in their shoulder holsters. You understand that I can't take the chance of letting your hands free to hold the bottle of water, don't you? Good. I'll help you, he said, wondering why he was being civil. He tipped the bottle up to my mouth so I could get a few swallows. Thank you. Now, do you want to tell me why you kidnapped me? Sorry, Mr. Golden. We were paid to deliver you here, and that's all we were paid to do. Our benefactor should be here soon to discuss some business with you. We don't care what his interest is in you. We get paid to do a job and we do it. You understand? It's only business. Great. If it's money you want, I can pay better. Oh, I'm sure, but you see, we have our integrity to worry about. If we don't honor our word, what kind of people would we be? In this business, a man's word is important. Wonderful. Honest kidnappers, I muttered sarcastically. He chuckled at that. Now you relax, and it will soon be over. That's what I'm afraid of, I replied, and he laughed again. I spent the next few hours in that chair, listening to the men who had bound me, trying to gather enough information to pinpoint my location. They started to complain about their client not showing up and not getting paid. They wanted to get out of there because they knew it was only a matter of time before a search was launched for me. The longer they sat with me, the more danger they were in of getting caught. I was due at Murphy's cabin by Thursday at 5 p.m., and it had to be much later than that. Besides, the kidnappers couldn't conceal the car I was driving after they shot out the tires. Every hour increased their apprehension. Their talk now revolved around asking for some sort of ransom since their client hadn't shown up to conduct his business with me and pay them for their work. Their big score seemed to be lost. I was more concerned that the conversation would drift toward putting a bullet in my head and them walking away from this fiasco. I worried if I would ever see my family again or if my body would ever be found. How would my girls do without me in their lives? Who would walk them down the aisle on their wedding day? Would my grandchildren ever know that a grandpa loves them already, even though they weren't born yet? Would my wife remarry? Would I be forgotten by the family I love so much? It was too much to lose. If I was going to die, I was going to die fighting. How about letting me take a leak? I asked, trying to sound casual. Are you kidding me? Come on, you offered me water a while ago, so you were at least civilized, weren't you? What can I do anyway? You have the guns. I'm asking you, please. Let me out of this chair so I can take a break. The guy who offered me water earlier told one of the other two to take me outside so I could relieve myself. The boss of the trio isn't wrong, you know. We've got the guns, so if he tries anything, use the damn thing. One of the guys came over and stood over me for a second, then leaned over and started to untie me. He also said if I tried to run away, he'd shoot me in both legs. I thanked him for letting me go. I stood up and started to walk. It was difficult since I'd been tied up for so long. My head still hurt, but at least I wasn't as dizzy. Stretching my arms and legs to get the blood flowing again caused the guy to push me toward the door. I guess civility only goes so far. I needed to be ready. This could be my only chance. Luckily, there was an outhouse and toilet paper. I finally caught a break. I really did need to go. This outhouse smelled like any other outhouse. It stank. God must like me because while I was sitting on that splintered toilet seat, I found a loose board that I could use to club the guy over the head with if he wasn't paying attention. Face it, these were city guys, and I was just a computer geek to them. I wasn't all that dangerous. So, stepping out of an outhouse with a piece of wood to use as a club wasn't an expected event. I finished my business and prayed to God. I really wanted to be with my family again. I stepped out of the door holding the club, and luck would have it, he was turned away. As soon as he heard the door, he started to twist in my direction. But by that time, I had closed the distance between us and caught him along the side of his head, knocking him out cold. I tried grabbing his gun, but it was stuck in his holster. I was panicking. I had to get out of there. I tore off into the woods, running as fast as I could. I had no idea where I was or where I was going, but maybe, just maybe, I would survive. I knew I was making too much noise, stepping on every fallen tree branch and twig in the woods. But if I could put some distance between me and the bad guys, I might be able to hide. I must have been running for 10 minutes, and my head started to kill me. I guess I was hit harder than I thought. I heard some yelling from the kidnappers, taunting me, saying that when they found me, they were going to kick my behind for hitting one of them. I had to chance it, so I kept running, falling down, scraping my hands and knees on rocks and fallen tree limbs. But I wasn't going to quit. The pain in my head was increasing, making me feel dizzy, but I kept going. Crossing a road, I thought about running down it but decided against that tactic because the kidnappers would be looking for me in their car, knowing I would find the road. I stumbled against a large tree, deciding to take a short break, hoping the pain in my head would subside. Night was starting and it was getting cold. I was beginning to shiver because I wasn't dressed for it. Now hypothermia was an additional worry. Only letting myself rest for a few minutes, I started off again in no particular direction. I was running blind. I continued to hear the kidnappers making noise in the woods, which helped me as I always knew where they were, but I noticed their noise was growing faint. I was getting away, but away to where? My head started to hurt more, and I was having trouble keeping my balance. It was now so cold that my fingers were getting numb. I was losing the battle to stay warm. I stumbled through the woods as best I could until I noticed I couldn't hear the kidnappers any longer. I guess I lost them, but I couldn't stay out here like this. I would freeze to death if I didn't find shelter. Felt like I had run and walked 100 miles, but I knew it was only a few at most. My whole body hurt, and it felt like my feet were bleeding along with my hands from the jagged edges of all the fallen branches and rocks I scraped against. Stopping for a few minutes' rest, I felt myself drifting away. I knew I didn't have much time left. I asked for help again from the man upstairs, begging him to help me get back to my family. I looked around, hoping to see some sign of life, and in the distance, I thought I saw a dim light. I had no choice. If I didn't go toward the light, I would die against this tree. The pounding in my head was so loud it was deafening and hurt so much. The light grew brighter with each step, bringing me a glimmer of hope that I might make it out of this alive after all. It seemed like forever before I could see the source of the light clearly. If it had power, maybe it had a telephone and I could call for help. Approaching the cabin, I noticed a car parked outside. Good, someone must be there, and they could get me some help. As I continued to stumble closer, I stopped short of the clearing just to be sure the kidnappers weren't there already. It was quiet as I made my way to the door. I heard noise coming from inside. I started to pound on the door, yelling for help as the pain in my head became so intense I felt myself black out. I started coming to, hearing the banging of dishes and footsteps. Was someone whistling? I opened my eyes, trying to make sense of where I was, but it was dark. I raised my head, and the pain shot back, making me groan. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You have a bad bump on your head. Just lie still for a minute, and I'll bring you something to drink, said a man's voice, obviously the owner of the cabin. I hoped he brought me a cup of coffee. Here, raise yourself up slowly and drink this. It's strong, but right now it's exactly what you need. I took a sip, and he wasn't kidding about it being strong. You want to tell me about it? Why were you pounding on my door at night, all busted up like you are? Thank you for the coffee. My name is Dennis, and I was kidnapped. I escaped after I hit one of the guys cold with a club after they let me out to take a break. Kidnapped, huh? I guess I could believe a story like that since you're not exactly dressed for deer hunting. Where am I, by the way? Well, you're in my cabin. My name is Mike. Nice to meet you, he said, extending his hand for me to shake. We're about 15 miles out of town. I spend just about all my time here these days. I don't have much use for most people. Why not? Long story. I have time, and I'm a good listener. I don't like to talk about it much, but talking to strangers is easier sometimes. Mike, I don't judge people easily. A person's actions and the motivations behind them influence me greatly. Tell me your story. Okay. Long story short, I was in the special forces and saw too much violence overseas. I was forced to do things, and it got to me. The army can train you for combat, but they can't train you to live with it. Too many of my friends couldn't take it any longer and, well, I didn't want that for me. So I came up here to get away from it all and find peace again. I think I might be ready to get back among people once more. I'm glad you're feeling better, and I'm especially glad you were still here. I'm afraid those guys who took me are still looking for me, though. I don't want them to catch me here. They'll hurt me for sure. But I don't want you hurt. Maybe it's best if I get out of here. I started to get up, but my head still hurt too much. Don't worry about me. Remember, Special Forces, I can take care of myself. And you need to rest before you can move. Take a nap, and I'll get you to town when you wake up. You're a good man, Mike. I can see it in your eyes. Okay, I'll sleep, but only for a short while. There will be people looking for me, and I don't want my family to worry. Family, huh? Yeah, Mike. Family. Wife Julie and 2 girls, Bethany and Carla. They're a handful, but I'd be totally lost without them. They literally are my life. Everything else I have is just a perk. What else do you have? A computer company worth millions and government contracts. I think that's why I was kidnapped. The guys who took me said they were waiting for someone to show up who wanted to talk business. A sudden surge of pain hit me. Ouch, my head hurts. Okay, enough talk. Take your nap. All right, mother. Good night. It only took minutes, and I was out again. I had no idea how long I was out, but a couple of loud noises woke me up. I couldn't see Mike anywhere inside the cabin, so he must be outside now. I was getting scared. Looking in the rifle case, I noticed one rifle missing. Something bad was wrong. Grabbing the .30-30 still in the case, I chambered around and slowly opened the door a crack. Looking outside, I spotted a familiar dark-colored SUV. They found me. Where's Mike? He must have confronted those men. I knew I should have left earlier. Now Mike could be hurt. The loud noises could have been gunshots. I opened the door a little further, listening, hoping Mike was okay. Stepping outside, I thought I heard talking around the backside of the cabin. Walking as lightly as I could, I moved to the corner of the cabin, trying to understand what was being said. Peeking around, I saw the kidnapper who had offered me water standing over a prone Mike on the ground. In the distance, I saw the other 2 on the ground. Did Mike kill them? So, why is he still alive? The bad guy was asking questions about me. From what I could hear, they took the chance I was here and didn't take too kindly to Mike's silence. When one of them tried to force him to talk by pointing a gun at him, Mike's instincts kicked in, and he dropped 2 of them. The last guy hit Mike over the head and was getting ready to finish him off but still wanted answers about me. Walking around the corner, I raised the rifle and aimed at the man. I wasn't going to let him hurt Mike while looking for me. Needless to say, he was startled to see me there, pointing a rifle at him, and he was foolish enough to raise his pistol in my direction. I fired, hitting him in the shoulder. I didn't want to kill him. I still needed information about the individuals who hired him to kidnap me. Rushing over to Mike, I crouched down, asking if he was all right. Mike confirmed he was okay, except for a headache from where he was hit, but otherwise fine. I helped Mike to his feet, having him lean against me until he got his bearings. Once he said he was okay, we turned our attention to the guy lying on the ground. You've got a choice. Tell me who hired you and we'll let you live, or I'll kill you here and now. Your choice? I said, putting the muzzle of the gun against his head. Oh yeah, he talked. He spilled his guts about who hired him. Since he was never paid, he had no reason to keep his word. A certain group of domestic individuals with connections to foreign corporations wanted me to play ball regarding the computer equipment I sell to the government. Okay, I didn't kill him, but Mike offered his own payback in the form of some fine-tuning to his lower extremities. Oh, and he'd have a bad shoulder for the rest of his life, courtesy of me. So we both got payback. I heard that the doctors fixed his knees almost as good as new, and years later he was walking without a cane. We made a phone call, and with the FBI camera running, both Mike and I spent a few days in a secure hospital recuperating from our injuries while being debriefed by the feds. Because of the sensitivity of the computers I sell and the foreign corporations interested in them, they kept us in the same room, and we got to know each other better. By the end of it, I considered Mike a friend. He was going to let himself be killed just to protect me. The man definitely has character. Since I saved his life, he felt he was in my debt. But in reality, I was in his debt. We compromised and promised each other we would always be there for each other if needed. I got him to accept a job as a security specialist working in the background of my company. More accurately, he is my family's bodyguard. His responsibility was to hire people to protect my family and work silently until certain protocols are activated. I made sure his people were well paid, and until now they had not needed to be activated. The kidnapping was kept from my wife with a simple story of classified negotiations and me being a total jerk for not calling her. I knew the truth would come out sooner or later, so I was prepared to take whatever verbal abuse she gave when she came back. Now I had to talk to Harold since I knew what Julie had done. The damage had to be minimized. I walked into his office and closed the door. He looked up at me and saw the state I was in. "Boss," I said, sitting down across from him. I let out a hard sigh. "Harold." He looked very worried because I never call him by his given name. "I need your help. What I'm going to tell you stays with you until I say so." Okay. I wasn't worried about Harold. I knew he would never break a confidence. There has been an unauthorized release of our classified financial records to an organized crime family in Peoria, Illinois. That's how Johnson blackmailed my wife, and it was her who released the records. By now, I expect the information is for sale, so it may be traceable. I need you to start doing your magic and either get the information back or destroy it from being used against the company and the federal government. Harold sat quietly for a moment, processing the gravity of what I had just said. We only have 24 to 48 hours to get it done before I have to get the feds involved, and you know they'll just mess everything up when they get here. "Boss, are you sure Julie released the records?" Harold asked cautiously. "Yeah, I'm afraid so. I confronted her with it, and she admitted everything." "How did you find out about the release?" "I have certain, shall we say, protocols established to protect this company, the people in it, and my family if certain things happen. I have a covert group of people who help keep everything safe. I don't want to say any more about it now. Do you think you can do what I need done?" "I think so. I may need to bring Susie in on this, if that's okay." "You can bring her in, but tell her only what she needs to know." "How are things with Susie?" "You know, she's only been here a couple of days, but she has skills that will benefit us greatly. You did well hiring her." "Glad to hear it. Keep me updated, and remember to keep things quiet as long as you can. When the feds get here, you can show them what you were able to find and hope we can save ourselves a whole lot of aggravation." With our conversation over, I walked up the hall to my office. For what? I didn't know. My family was in hiding to keep them safe, and my company was on the edge of disaster. If Harold and Susie could get to the crime family who got the financials, maybe I could salvage everything. But one thing I know for sure, Mr. Hal Johnson is going to regret ever going after my wife. I was next to useless. I couldn't concentrate on anything but my family, so I decided to head home and relax. Yeah, right. I'm surprised I made it home without wrecking the car because my mind was with Mike and my family. Making it inside, I went straight for a beer. If any time deserved excessive drinking, this was it. I didn't get drunk, but the refrigerator door was open a few too many times. Sleep was difficult to come by as I questioned every move I'd made since the other day at lunch. Instead of being a proactive participant, I had been a reactive victim. Come tomorrow, that game would change. Waking at 6 a.m., I went straight to Harold's office. I knew he wouldn't leave until things were back to normal. Opening his door, I stopped to see not only him but Susie as well. I guess they stopped for a little sleep as they were lying together on the couch in each other's arms, covered with a blanket. All I could do was smile. I knew it wouldn't take long for them to figure it out, just like me. Clearing my throat to wake them worked on the first try, go figure. Both were embarrassed when they realized I was standing there and they were in each other's arms. Hearing the expected apologies from both, I had to tell them they did nothing wrong. It was difficult not to laugh. You two have been here all night, I take it? Yes, boss. We worked till about 3 a.m. and just needed a few hours sleep. We made some headway and we're going to report to you to see how you wanted it handled. Okay, you two. Why don't I take you for breakfast and you can tell me what you have? I also have a plan that should cause some people serious issues before we're done. Come on. Walking into my favorite diner, I had to ask if it was okay for me to come in after the disturbance when I punched someone in the face yesterday. I was hoping I was still allowed because I really like their food. Mary, who owns the place and is always there for breakfast, just smiled and told me to shut my mouth, sit down and spend my money. Did I mention I liked this place? During the meal, Harold and Susie told me they confirmed my information from my covert surveillance and everything had been quiet for a couple of weeks. Since Hal Johnson came into town, there were feelers put out that a certain computer company's financials might be for sale if the price could be met, and the idiots are using the same cafe to boot. All right, get the information you have ready for me. I'll expect full details for the feds, so don't get sloppy. Smiling, I said, I don't want my two resident computer geeks embarrassing me. After that, get all employees to quit what they're doing and wait for me in the conference room. I have to talk to the shop. Sure, boss, they said, leaving me to enjoy my coffee and wait to see what would happen next. Just when I thought it was safe to go back to the diner, he shows up. Man, I should play the lottery. I've got to be one lucky stiff to get this kind of thing thrown at me. You are the last person I expected to show up here, Hal. You don't mind me calling you by your first name, do you? I feel we're almost like friends. You know, I own a company you want to destroy, I have a family you want to take from me, and by the end of the day, we'll both have a crime family that will want us dead. Oh, by the way, how's the nose? Nasty. You're funny. You damn well know it's broken. What the hell are you talking about, the family wanting me dead? In a few minutes, everything I have on the family will be given to the FBI. More than likely, instead of RICO crimes, they'll be looking at Patriot Act defenses. Can you say GMO? Do you actually think they'll forget about you? Doubtful. I will definitely enjoy looking upon your dead body when all this is over and done. Giving a swollen, disfigured smirk, he said they expected the FBI to be monitoring them. They're not stupid, you know? Do you have any idea how many agents are on their payroll? They have everyone who watches them on a daily basis and a few in FBI headquarters. They're covered. Maybe, but not by the people I deal with. You have no idea what you did when you talked them into coming after my wife. Just so you know how I play, right now a sniper has his crosshairs directly on your heart. Now, don't panic and you'll live past this cup of coffee. I picked up my phone and told them to let him see the dot on his chest. He looked down to see a little red dot centered on his chest. Now do you think I'm cheating around? I'm feeling generous today, so if you stop what you're doing and talk to the FBI agents of my choosing, you can be put in protective custody and have a better than average chance of surviving this. His face lost all color as he realized a sniper had him tagged. Almost to the point of, is that poop I smell? He went running out of the diner. I was still on the phone. Let him go. He made his choice. Mary gave me another look for disturbing the ambience of her diner by chasing her customers away. Sorry, Mary. I don't think you like the breakfast special, but you know I always love the food here. Big smile. Back in the office, the report from Harold and Susie was sitting on my desk. I had what I needed to call the man in DC, but first, I had to call Mike. Is everything okay? Is my family safe? You have to ask me a question like that? Really? Sorry, Mike. You know I'm sensitive where they're concerned. I know you are, but you don't have to worry. My best men are here. The kids were freaked out when we picked them up from school yesterday, but Julie calmed them down. In the background, I heard Julie asking if Mike was talking to me, and if so, he'd better give her the phone right now. That's my wife. She can be one pushy, beautiful brat. Dennis, is that you? Are you okay? Talk to me, damn it. Julie, calm down. I am. Things are moving fast here. As of this morning, I put a scare into your boyfriend, and I don't think he is going to enjoy the ending. He is not my boyfriend. How many times do I have to tell you that? Dennis, I don't have a boyfriend. Please believe me. I'm sorry, slip of the tongue. Your old boyfriend made a choice and don't think he will survive the storm he brought down on us, especially after the family deals with him. I don't care about him. Only you and the girls matter. When can we come home? Soon, but there is more that needs to be done before this is over. Now, just relax and enjoy the quiet. Mike is quite the storyteller, Julie. He is one of the good ones. Nothing will happen to you and the girls while you're there with him. I'll stay, but not for long. I have to fix all the damage I caused and we need to fix us. Fixing the company is my job now. We'll fix us when you get back, and I expect it to involve serious skin-to-skin friction. Oh, Dennis, thank you for giving me another chance, even though I don't deserve it. I love you. I love you too, Julie. Now tell the girls I love them when they wake and give Mike the phone. Mike, I expect things to get worse before day's end. The external review will be completed by noon, and from what I've been told, most of the FBI agents monitoring the family are on their payroll. So I think DAP will be activated, and you know what that means. Yeah, everyone dies. Keep them safe, Mike. You know I will. Julie heard Mike's statement and immediately berated him to explain. Julie, your husband, my friend, hired me to take extraordinary steps to protect not only the company but his family as well. After his kidnapping years back, he couldn't take the risk of losing you or the girls because of the business. What kidnapping? He never told me of a kidnapping. She just woke up the girls with her yelling. He didn't want to worry you. That is what he meant by me saving his life. I guess I did, but he saved mine too. Let's have something to drink and I'll tell you all about it. Mike detailed the events of how we met. Julie was none too pleased that I kept such a secret from her. There were more than a few words about kicking my butt when she saw me again. She was even more surprised when Mike explained the protocols I set up afterward. She had no idea I would go to such lengths to protect the people close to me. I had things so well that not even she found the expenditures when she ran the books. Mike, it's obvious my husband has complete trust in you or he wouldn't have put his family into your care. But the horror of his kidnapping and the reality of the current threat from a crime family got me thinking that you cannot be there every minute of our lives. We have to be able to protect ourselves. I have to be able to protect my girls. I want you to teach me how to shoot a pistol. I don't know, Julie. Dennis may not be happy about that. This isn't about Dennis. This is about me protecting my family. He was debating her request and the possible ramifications. Okay, but I don't mess around. I will teach you how to use a weapon to protect your family, and that means you must be prepared to kill another person. Can you grasp that concept? Killing another human is easy to do. Living with the guilt of killing is difficult. I know this from experience. You have to wrap your mind around the consequences. God is my witness. I would rather deal with that kind of guilt than the nightmare of burying my family because I couldn't protect them. All right, that is what I wanted to hear you say. Now, if you want to learn how to shoot, you will do exactly as I say, how I say, and if you give me any trouble, we're done. Got me. I knew the external report wasn't due until noon, but I didn't want to wait. Not with having the conversation with Hal, since he might already be giving the family a heads up. I know I'm early, but let me have it. The external report is complete and significant problems exist with the FBI monitoring the crime family's activities. As you have been told by the subject in town, most of the agents are on the payroll of the family and have been submitting false reports to their superiors. When Mr. Johnson caught himself in debt to the family, the agents assisted them with the background investigation on Mr. Johnson's life. That's when they discovered the videos of your wife. One of the agents recognized her from a meeting in the Capitol while you were both there for contract talks. That's when the plan to blackmail your wife was devised. I'm afraid the compromised agents will warn the family and escape is probable unless DAP is authorized. I figured today was going to be the day. I'll make the call to the agency, but for us, DAP authorized. My word established my covert army to activate and make available protection. My people may need to minimize any potential personal threat. I never thought I'd have to do this, but making the call to the only man not part of the company to tell him of a serious threat to my company and the government was necessary. The call was made to the National Security Agency. With the FBI agents corrupt, I would need them to go after the family and retrieve the financials if they were sold on the black market. Of course, I was relying on Mike and Susie. The call to the man at the NSA was quick and dirty. I knew within minutes he would have a team en route to arrest, if possible, or take down the FBI agents covering for the crime family. My next move was to close the company until all hostiles were eliminated. I made it to the shop and called all employees to the main conference room. Since I didn't want my wife's complicity revealed, I downplayed the reason for temporarily closing the doors but told them there was a threat to the company and that until that threat was resolved, I had no choice but to close shop. I ensured that they would be paid for their time off without loss of vacation time or benefits, and the time lost would be minimal but necessary. Apologizing for the current events, I made sure they knew that everything was being done to protect this company and them. What they didn't know was that each employee had a bodyguard and surveillance assigned to them. My next call was to my family. Mike, you there? Yeah, I'm here. Has it started? I'm afraid so. I just shut down the shop and sent the employees home until it's all over. How are my girls? They're antsy and want to go home. They want to talk to you. Mike handed Julie the phone. Dennis, I'm not happy with you right now. Mike told me everything, a kidnapping, and you never told me. Bethany and Carla heard the whole story from Mike. They cried the entire time. You know what you mean to them. When I see you, I'm going to kill you. I can't believe you didn't tell me. I didn't think we kept secrets from each other. Yes, you're right. I didn't think we did either, but we do, don't we? I said. She knew what I was alluding to, and she had better not throw keeping secrets from her at me, especially not when I just had to shut down our company. I'm sorry, honey. I forgot. It won't ever happen again, believe me. I do believe you, but right now your assurances won't help with what I just had to do. What happened? I just shut down the company and sent everyone home. Why did you have to do that? Because the crime family your old boyfriend works for has the financial records you gave them for sale on the black market. Monster and Susie found the information for sale, and my covert operatives discovered that the FBI agents monitoring the crime family are actually working for them. Those agents assisted with your blackmail. Escalation was next on the agenda, so you and the girls were definitely in danger if I didn't react when I did and sent you with Mike. You all might have been killed. She started crying. Damn, Dennis. This is all my fault. I've ruined everything, haven't I? It's not your fault. Hal is to blame, and I'm going to make sure he pays dearly. But you sure as hell didn't help by doing what you did. Still, I'm sure everything will work out for us. Oh, Hal, honey, if nothing else, at least my worst secret is out and you got to meet Mike. Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. The girls want to know when we can come home. Not until it's over. It shouldn't be much longer, though, now that the last protocol was activated. I want you home too because you have some making up to do, and I have a couple of ideas on how you're going to start. I bet you do, honey. I'm so sorry for everything. I know I keep saying it, but I really am sorry. I know you are. After we get past this, we'll be okay. Now sit tight, do what Mike tells you, and give him the phone. I love you. I love you, too. Mike here. Mike, your guys discovered the FBI agents are working for the family, so keep a close eye on things in case they somehow discover our protocols. I'll bring extra guys out here just in case. Sounds good. Stay safe, Mike. Hanging up the phone, I leaned back in my chair and reflected on what had transpired today. My family was cared for and safer than gold in Fort Knox. The company was closed down and I had a small army watching over my employees. The NSA should be dealing with the FBI agents and the crime family. So what am I missing? Oh, right. Before Hal gets what he deserves, I'll make him sweat for a couple of days. There was nothing for me to do in my office, so I walked around the building looking at rooms void of the people who make this place successful, wondering if this was the end. Would I lose everything because of someone's lust for money? Thinking back over the beginning of this company and the difficulty I had initially barely making enough money just to pay rent, I realized I owed the people in this town everything. I owed the people who worked here so much. I found renewed determination and made a promise: no way am I going to lose any of this. I secured my shop, turned off the lights, and drove home, allowing myself one night of relaxation and one night for the NSA to reduce, if not eliminate, the family and the corrupt FBI agents. Thank God my family is safe. I pulled the car into the garage and went straight for a beer. Red Bridge gluten-free beer actually tastes better than it sounds, but I can only handle one every now and then. I wanted some quiet time, but I didn't want my bodyguards outside in a car when I could have them comfortable inside the house. So I made a call. Yes, sir? Why don't you guys come inside? There's no need for you to stay out in a car when I'm alone inside this big house. Come inside, get comfortable, and have something to eat. We don't want to impose. You're kidding, right? You guys are keeping me alive. Get in here. Thank you, sir. We'll be right in. What the hell? Then I heard a crash. Guys, can you hear me? Guys, something's wrong. I ran to the window to see what was going on, and what I saw scared me. A dump truck had collided with the SUV holding my bodyguards. Steam was coming out from under the hood, glass was on the ground, and there wasn't any movement from my guys. I knew they were hurt and had to get them help. I called 911, gave them my location, and went running outside to help them. Something told me not to go outside, but I had to. These guys would put their lives on the line for me, so I would do it for them. Approaching the SUV, I saw the two of them still in their seats, slumped over but held upright by their seatbelts. Blood was running down the sides of their heads, but I could see they were breathing. Thank God. I could hear the sirens coming closer. Good, these guys were going to be okay. Then everything went black. I woke up tied to a chair. Not again. Hello, sunshine. Did you sleep well? The next thing I knew, the jerk slapped my face. Hal Johnson. Well, good morning to you. Next was a punch to my face. Payback, huh? Well, try it again. You didn't break my nose, he did. I spat the blood from my nose in his face. That's okay. I have enough money to get it fixed. That messed up septum was giving me fits anyway. So what do I owe the pleasure of your company? You know why, jerk? The family is on the run and taking you as a last-ditch effort to save my life. If I deliver you to them, they get to take their revenge on you and I get another chance to repay the money I owe. Mike, he's gone. What? What do you mean he's gone? What happened? Our men's SUV was hit by a dump truck and they were knocked out cold. It looks like Mr. Golden called 911 and went outside to check on them, but he was taken. There was a small amount of blood found outside the SUV and it's his. Our men were taken to the hospital and are going to be okay, but both have minor concussions. The doctors wouldn't release them, so they stole doctors' scrubs and walked out. I have them with me now. How do we proceed? I'm on my way. Stay where you are and let those men get some rest because by the time I get there, it will be time to bring hell. During the phone call, Julie was outside practicing with the Glock pistol Mike had given her. She was actually a fast learner and had become quite good, a natural it seemed. Julie turned around and saw the distress on Mike's face. What happened? Someone took Dennis and put his guards in the hospital. I have to go. You're taking me with you. The heck I am. You're staying here. My husband is in danger and it's all my fault. I'm going. The girls will be safe here and I'll be safe with you. I cannot let anything happen to my husband. So let's go. A watered-down explanation was given to the girls as Mike and Julie headed out. Only 2 people knew that I had a tracking device implanted in my body. It was something I did after my first kidnapping. It stung like hell at first, but I got used to it quickly. There was a helicopter waiting for Mike and Julie at the local airport, eliminating hours of drive time. The tracking device was kept in my office, and besides myself, Mike was the only person who had the combination to the safe where it was kept. Landing at the local airport, Mike and Julie were met by my injured bodyguards and their backups. You guys all right? Yeah, boss. We'll make it. Drive us to the company. I have to pick something up. Mike explained the tracking chip and its installation in all my family's electronic devices during the flight. If my kids or wife were taken and held for ransom, I could find them before anything bad could happen. Julie wasn't happy that I tracked them so extensively, but she realized I would do anything to keep them safe. Making it to the company, Julie and Mike went inside to retrieve the tracker. Julie couldn't believe Mike had the security code keys and knowledge of a secret wall safe in my office, and she called him on it. Mike, why do you have so much access to everything? Julie, it's part of the protocols Dennis set up. We've thought of every contingency and prepared action plans to save life and limb. Only I and the man from the NSA know this. Mike pulled the tracker from the safe and turned it on. He was shocked that my signal wasn't picked up. This shouldn't be happening. This has never failed before. Even a room with walls of lead can't block the signal. It may have been damaged if he was hit in the head too hard. Why would that damage it? It's located in his head, sinuses to be exact. Mike, we can't waste time. I'll call Monster and get him down here. If anyone knows how to fix this thing, he will. Julie's quick call to Monster got him to the office within minutes. Susie tagged along. Julie knew that with those 2 computer geniuses on our side, only good things could happen. Mike explained the device tracking chip's signal frequency and type, and within minutes, they were able to get a weak signal from my chip after hijacking a military spy satellite. Julie knew the area, a small, abandoned industrial area used for metal castings about 10 miles outside of town. They all headed for the signal. Mike was uneasy with Julie, Monster, and Susie tagging along, but he knew he couldn't go without Julie and might need Monster and Susie again to reacquire the signal if needed. Reaching the area raised Mike's stress level because not only did he have too many unarmed people to worry about, but there were several cars outside the building where I was being held. It looked like some of the family had made it out of Peoria and wanted to take their revenge. Mike gave strict orders for Julie, Monster, and Susie to stay in the SUV while he and his men went in after me. Not knowing how many were inside, Mike decided on an approach from all sides. His men were professionals and forced rescue was a practiced exercise. What Mike didn't know was that the family had only been there for about 15 minutes. They were indeed on the run from the NSA and wanted to let me know how unhappy they were about all their trouble. A few of them didn't make it during the short-lived firefight, but the family heads escaped through a tunnel known only to them and reached in a waiting car. Dick had called them after they made it out of town to tell them he had me tied up and was waiting for their orders. When they found out I was available for an up-close and personal talk, they changed plans. Mexico would have to wait for a little while they got some payback. The family boss was a guy named Milo. He wasn't a big man in stature, but he used his influence to an imposing level. Gotta give him his due, he had the FBI in his pocket. But all good things must come to an end. He shouldn't have taken me on. Big mistake. So, Mr. Golden, I had my doubts when Mr. Johnson came up with this idea of forcing a deal with you. Something was telling me not to do it, and for the first time since I became head of the family, I didn't listen to that little voice. Look where it got me. Some of us are dead. The FBI agents I had on payroll are dead or arrested and will never see freedom again. I had to transfer all my stateside wealth to an offshore account, and now I have to live in Mexico, all because this guy couldn't keep it in his pants. I wasn't sure how much time I had left, and I made a promise to make Johnson pay for wrecking my happiness. So, sounds like you have a problem. Why not take care of it and put a bullet in his head? Or better yet, let me do it. That way, both your problems will be taken care of. What to problems? Well, him for one and me for two. How's killing him taking care of you as my problem? Simple. If he dies, I'll leave you alone. I'll call off the feds and allow you to live a hassle-free life in Mexico. He thought that was funny and damn near busted a gut. If you're dead, I'll have that hassle-free life anyway. No, actually, you'll be tracked down and my private army will take care of you and your family without warning or sympathy. Do you know why you're here? You're here because certain protocols were established after my first kidnapping, and because of what I do for the government, I had to agree that if I or my company were ever compromised, the protections were such that all external threats would literally be destroyed. In other words, you will die. Living in Mexico will not protect you. You will die unless you quit now and surrender. That wasn't the FBI after you in Peoria. It was the NSA. If you live, Gitmo will be your vacation spot for the rest of your life. You're bluffing. You don't have that kind of power. Well, my friend, I'm afraid I do. Also, I have a tracking device implanted in me, and it is only a matter of time before my men come in shooting. So please, put a bullet in my brain and give up. About that time, Mike and his men were in position and heard my last statement. He gave the order to enter the building and to hold fire until he fired the first shot. Besides Milo, there were another 5 men inside the small room where I was held. 3 were standing close to me, 1 was behind Milo, and Hell was away close to a door leading outside. Mike happened to come in through the door standing by. He flung open the door, hitting Hell alongside his head, knocking him down, and fired center chest at the big guy next to Milo. The others came in and shot the guys around me, leaving only Milo standing. I looked at him and smiled. Told you so. He froze, waiting to see if he was next. There were 4 guys pointing rifle muzzles at him, deciding whether Milo would live or die. He chose. Mike put the last round in his head. Outside, Julie heard the gunshots and tried to leave the SUV. Even with Monster and Susie holding onto her, she broke free and bolted for the nearest door. Mike was trying to untie me when Julie launched herself onto my lap, crying hysterically and hugging me tightly. I was beyond shocked to see her there and was more than a little ticked off at Mike. You and I are going to have a little talk when we get back home. Mike, get me? Yeah, Dennis, I know, but she didn't leave me much choice. What, you can't control one little woman? Please. Like you've ever had control of her. I chuckled at that because it was true. Mike and his men were checking on the damage they'd caused to the gangsters when I heard the hammer of a revolver being pulled back. The revolver was pointed right at me. I was about to turn toward Julie to protect her when I heard 2 gunshots, too close to be from Mike and his men. Julie. I don't know how, but before anyone could react, Julie pulled her Glock and fired twice at her old boyfriend. The first round missed and hit the doorframe behind him, but the second hit him just below his heart. He lay on the floor moaning and bleeding, asking for help. I took the gun from Julie's hand, still shocked at what she had just done. You okay? I don't know who gave you a gun. Dumb question since I already knew. Mike, I know we're going to talk. Get Julie out of here now. She doesn't need to see this. As I pushed her toward the door, I told her to go. I literally pushed Julie toward Mike as he dragged her out of the building while I walked over to the body. I knew he only had seconds to live. When you see Satan, tell him I said hello. The look on his face will stay with me for a long time. Hatred, pure and simple hatred. Some people will never take responsibility for their own actions. Looking down at the body, I could hardly understand why it all happened. Not long ago, I was an extremely happy man. I had my own company that made good money, a wife who loved me, and my kids were happy and healthy. I guess I had it all. That would explain why it was all taken away from me. At least someone tried. That someone being Hal Johnson. It was his body I was looking at on the floor. Digging down deep, I spat on the lousy carcass. May he enjoy hell, because if anyone deserves to be there, it was him. Turning, I made my way out of the building to find my crying wife. I think the shock of killing her old boyfriend was beginning to set in. When I walked out the door, she broke free of Mike and grabbed me tightly, sobbing into my chest. All I could do was let her work it out. I looked over to the SUV and saw Monster and Susie holding each other, tears in their eyes, watching me and Julie. The look I gave Mike said it all. Yeah, I know. We're going to have a talk. I whispered, Julie. She raised her head and looked at me. Come on, let's go home. Mike, call the feds and get them to clean this up, okay? And have 2 men stay with us, just in case there are any of Milo's stragglers out there. Sure. Harold, Susie, get in the car. It's time to go home. And that's what we did. I was able to reopen the company after a week. The financial information was removed from sale, and any interested parties trying to buy it had a personal visit from guys with computers and weapons. The same guys found all the information intact on the computers in Milo's office. Thank God Julie took it personally after I had Monster install another layer of security in the accounting department, but she realized it was necessary and forgave me. The NSA took down most of the gangsters and captured almost all the FBI agents. It seemed they didn't want to risk their lives, they were just greedy. Monster and Susie admitted to each other that they were in love and married 1 year later. For helping with saving my life, I paid for their honeymoon. They had 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, all little geniuses just like them. They were married for 53 years before cancer took Harold. He was visited frequently in his hospice suite by a not-so-little Mary who never forgot the big man who made her smile when she was so sick a long time ago. Susie was lost without her Monster and followed him 7 months later. Mike and I did have our little talk. I yelled at him, don't ever do anything like that again. Then I gave him a huge hug for protecting me and my family, wrote him into my will, and gave him and his men a raise. Bethany and Carla came home and I told them everything. They were teenage girls and old enough to be told the truth. Yeah, I was on their list for a while. Bethany continued to date Paul and eventually married him. They gave us a grandson who was the smartest child I've ever seen in my life. Carla is still trying to find her way, and hopefully someday she'll find the happiness she deserves. Julie did have nightmares about killing her old boyfriend, but they faded quickly with therapy. She had several talks with Mike, and I know the talks helped her since he had been through similar experiences. She told me many times that she gladly accepts her nightmares of killing another person because it beats having the nightmare of visiting my grave. It took a little more time for Julie and me to work past her lack of trust in me, but she saved my life, so forgiving her was a no-brainer. She remained faithful to her vows and was genuinely afraid when Dick had blackmailed her, so I know she deserved a second chance. I'm not perfect, and I know she would have offered me the same forgiveness. The pain I felt over her lack of trust and the fear of her supposed affair was harder for me to let go than I expected. She apologizes constantly, and while I accept her apologies, I don't let her off easy. She agreed that her behavior was unacceptable and that she should be punished. Her latest punishment involved a shower and a dropped bar of soap. I really do love my wife, and I thank God every day for her.